If I could go back and start my publishing author journey from day one, there are some things that I would 100% do again, but there's also a lot of things that I would do a lot sooner. Hi friends, I'm Rianne, and on this channel we talk about everything to do with writing, publishing, and hopefully opening the doors on some things that people just don't share. So if that sounds like you and your vibe, hit subscribe and come and join us, because today I'm going through 5 things, that's 10 fingers, I'm going through 5 things that I would do again or sooner in my author journey. Before I get into it, my dog is here today and he is going to keep nudging my arm so that I give, there we go, so that I keep giving him cuddles. Yeah, I know, you just want attention, don't you, buddy? So the first thing I would do is invest in the right courses and the right education. So I took Publish and Thrive probably a couple of years into starting my writing. I actually took it when I was pregnant with my second, and I'd already badly released, I should say, a duology before that. I wish that I had taken this course at the very beginning, because there is so many things in there that are foundational that I found paramount to continuing in my author career. So that is one of the things that I would wholeheartedly recommend doing as soon as you can early on in your career, because I think it really helped. And if I had done it at the beginning, I really feel like I would have had a better foundation for success than when I did it. So that's just the number one thing I would go back and tell myself to do that first. It's actually open for enrollment right now, that course, so I'll leave the links down below. So if you're interested, go and check it out. I know I've spoken about it on this channel before, so you're welcome to go and find one of those videos and see what it's all about, or check out the link and see what the description is on the course page. It's something that I really do recommend. It's something that I have taken myself. So I'll leave that link down below. There's no pressure to use it, but it is open for enrollment right now. I do believe Sarah, the course creator, said that this might be the last time she's doing it live, and it might be becoming an evergreen course. If you're interested in doing this kind of thing live and having those live Q&As, then now might be the perfect time to join. The second thing that I would do is set up my socials and start talking about my book way before I had actually finished writing my book. I see this advice quite a lot at the moment, and I really do think it would have made such a big difference to where I am now. You do not need to have a book to start talking about it. So I wish I had set up all my socials. I wish I'd even started a newsletter before I had published, even if there was like 5 people on there. It would be great practice to start off with, because then I could be talking about my story and getting that buzz and getting people interested. And I myself as a reader have come across pages and people talking about their book. It's not published yet, and I'm very excited to read it, and I follow them, I bookmark their page, and they have a lot of interest behind them because they are sharing about their book before they've even published. I really wish that's something that I would have done. So that is something that I would go back and tell myself to do much sooner than I had done. I think a part of it was like this fear. At the time I was much younger, I was still working as a teacher. I still had a lot of self-doubt and self-worry that I wouldn't be good enough, that I wasn't good enough, and so that held me back. But it actually held me back from making the kind of progress I would have liked to have seen. So I think that is one of the biggest things I would have done, is to go back, set up those socials, and just get started sharing what my story was about. You're basically trying to cultivate long-term readers. There are definitely readers out there, I'm probably one of them to be fair. You hear somebody has released a book and you're like, oh my goodness, I need to read that book right now, because you've bought into that person as an author. Right then, so the third point is I would go big on arcs. So a link to the last point, there was well, I don't even think I really understood what arcs were, or that was a thing when I first published my first duology, which has now been unpublished, by the way, to be rewritten at a later point. I didn't do arcs at all. And then for my YA series that I have, that is still out there, I think I send it to like 3 people. So one of the things I would do is go big on arcs, because you need to be less afraid of giving your book out for free. And I think that was something that I was really worried about. Hang on a minute, I've just done all this work, why am I giving my book away for free? But honestly, it helps with getting reviews, and I struggle with reviews so much. I have people reading my books, but I struggle to get reviews. And part of that is because at the moment I'm at the end of my series, so it's hard to get new people to start that. So what I will be doing for my next book after this, the standalone that I'm doing, is I am going to be going big on arcs. One of the ways I'll be doing that is A, going on social media and talking about my book before it's even finished writing, and then 2, going big on the arcs, which links to that social media. If you've created that presence on social media, then when you have these arcs to go out, you have a bunch of readers that are willing and happy to read your book and give you a review. I have seen people that have given away hundreds of arcs, and it really sets them up, because the more reviews you have, the better you do in the algorithms, and it just makes, the more reviews you have, when you have readers land on your page, it just gives that extra bit of credit to your book and your story. So that's one of the things I would do, is not be afraid of giving my book away for free. I need to see it as like an investment. If I give away 100 copies of my book, or more ideally, and half of them leave reviews, that's 50 reviews already. It's such a big point to make, is to go big on arcs, and that is something that I have seen time and time again over the years, how much arcs can influence how you do afterwards. So that is definitely something that I will go back and tell my younger self to do, is to go big on the arcs. Point 4 then is a little bit more vulnerable, and it's to have more eyes on my book sooner. So currently I do lots of eyes. I'm not talking about what I do now. This is definitely a point that I would do much earlier in my career. So I mentioned how I have a duology that is now unpublished. It is not out in the world because it didn't have eyes on it, and a lot of that comes from that self-doubt, that worry, that anxiety. But truly, I see getting eyes on my book an imperative part of my writing. Having beaters, having friends, having critique partners, all of that really helps your book to shine. I have found several different authors and critique partners over the years who are absolutely fantastic, who we sort of swap our works and read each other's works, and they really do help you make it the best it can be. Now, you're the person that knows your story the best. And so I will always caveat anything with, I'm not quite sure I agree with what they've said because of X, Y, and Z. If I have those reasons, then I can, take away their piece of critique or advice. However, most of the time, I usually see where they're coming from, and I'll go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, if you're confused about that, why are you confused? What have I done that's made you confused about that issue? They find plot holes, they help strengthen characters, because no matter how good you are, it is hard to look at your own work. So I always recommend getting eyes. Again, this might link to having your socials set up earlier. You definitely need some reader point of views, people that understand your genre. Yes, you can get your friend to read it. Yes, you can get your mum to read it. But unless they read in your genre as well, they may not have an idea of what the convention should be for that genre and the expectations. So I definitely recommend getting people in your genre. I recommend getting some form of editing on your book, whether that is you're swapping with another author and you're going to try and edit each other's books as best as you can because you have no budget. Even that is better than nothing. I use Pro Writing Aid. I have an editor. I also have several authors that read and critique. I usually do some form of like paid beta work or paid critique work on my story as well. Not to mention I read it about 100,000 times. A book of mine now goes through up to 10 pairs of eyes at least, and you'll always find a typo, so just get that out of your head right now. There will always be a typo and you'll always find it as soon as you press publish. That's just the rules, how things work. I can see how my first duology, how much it suffered because it did not have other eyes on it. Yes, I think the core story is there, but the writing, not only is it my early writing, so it's different as well, but there are things now that I look at some of those characters and I cringe so badly. There are definitely plot issues. It's just, yeah, it's a big point that I would go back and tell my younger self to do, is to not be afraid. And now I see critique as just an integral part of my process, and I don't think I could ever release a book without some form of critique or eyes on it. My last point then, point number 5, could be a little bit controversial, but it's to use a dedicated book cover company from the start. My budget has always been quite small, and to begin with I used a company called Fiverr, which I'm sure we've all heard of, to create my covers. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some fantastic freelancers on Fiverr. I'm sure there are. However, I wish I'd gone to a dedicated company. So at the moment I use Get Covers, which is still a budget company linked to Mibbelar, if you've heard of them, and they're like the sister company. In my head, I think that they train up their artists for Mibbelar in Get Covers, if that makes sense. But I wish I'd used that dedicated book company to begin with. I'm not saying that Get Covers is the company you should use. I'm not saying that Get Covers is the best company out there. In fact, sometimes I've had issues with I have to lead them a lot, and that can be quite difficult. However, I think they have a lot more knowledge about what goes into a book cover, and I wish I had used a dedicated book cover company to begin with. I also like using Get Covers because they're budget friendly and I can get unlimited revisions, and I think that is a bonus of having a big company such as them, whereas individual like freelancers and that can't always offer unlimited revisions for obvious reasons, and that's not a bad thing at all. That's their prerogative and something that I think they have to include when you're a sole person, like an individual. I would use Get Covers or a dedicated book cover company from the beginning, and to try and make my covers as professional as I could on a budget. And if you really do have a small budget, then seriously try Get Covers because they're pretty good. I'll leave a link down for them below as well. I have done some videos on working with Get Covers, so I'll link them somewhere up above so you can go check those out as well. Oh, side note, one of the reasons why I put this in is because at the very beginning of my career, the duology that is now unpublished, the first cover for that was actually one that I did myself on, wait for it, Word. I did my own cover on Word. Oh my goodness, it was terrible, guys. I've got no skills in that area. I've got no software design. I've got just nothing. That is not my skill set, but yeah, I did that cover myself in Word. And then I went and did Fiverr, which wasn't too bad actually. I quite like those ones. And then I used Fiverr again for my YA series. And then I found Get Covers and went with Get Covers, the book company, and I've been happy with them. So yeah, it's been a whole process. If I can find that file somewhere, I will add it here so you can see the Word cover that I did. I really don't recommend that. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Now I want to hear from you guys. So are any of these 5 things that you'd wish you'd done sooner? Or which one are you going to be doing this week? Let's put it in the comments below so that we can all hype you up. Okay guys, that's it from me. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.